our nexus between ourselves is of paramount importance. And hence, international organizations of our various Jamaats, like the World Federation, like World Islamic organizations, are of great importance, because we can thereby help each other and keep going the Shiite Islamic culture, which will ultimately bring salvation. All those foundations, as I see, which are vital for us, were laid in the time of Ghaibat al-Sughra. Because the Imam alayhi salam truly went into Ghaiba the moment he was born, as we saw on the first night of our gatherings. And this is where we connect in this summing up what we discussed on the first night with what we discussed in the last of the nights. The moment he was born, he was taken into Ghaiba. Indeed, he saluted his father, he saluted his mother, and then when Bibi Hakima Khatun asked for him, he was not to be found. And the Imam alayhi salam says to her, "Come after 7 days, my aunt, and you will see the sun." So you can see he was immediately taken into Ghaiba and ever remained in that state, so that the enemies of Allah should not be able to get their hand on this Hujjah of Allah and assassinate him. Those precautions were being taken at every stage. Soon thereafter, the martyrdom of the 11th Imam alayhi salam followed. And in his will, he gave nothing to the 12th Imam alayhi salam. Did not even mention his name. And indeed, made his brother the major heir, implying that when the mother is made the major heir, there is no son who has survived. So, this is how the 11th Imam made his will, reminiscent of the way Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam made his will. And we've discussed that, how he omitted the 7th Imam alayhi salam, so that the life of the 7th Imam alayhi salam was saved. And we have discussed that in full, only a touch on that subject to remind you of how there was precedent for that kind of behavior on the part of a Masoom. Well, so after that, we know he came and led the prayers on the body of his illustrious father. But that was a quick session. Led his prayers, and again he went behind the curtain. He went physically behind a physical curtain and was not seen, except ultimately he met that group that came from Qum. We discussed that last year, of how Abu Dayan was sent with letters to Qum, and how these people from Qum came. And Ghaibat al-Sughra really was in effect already, after the martyrdom of the 11th Imam alayhi salam. They came, asked for the Imam alayhi salam, and they were told that the 11th Imam alayhi salam had been martyred. Who is the successor? Jafar claimed that he was the successor. They asked Jafar, they told Jafar, "We brought khums from Qum." So Jafar says, "Fine, I am the Imam, hand it over to me." And they said, "No, we don't hand it over like that." Now this is an episode worth discussing, although I'm going to speed up on it, because there are other matters that I do want to touch on, because it shows that when we pay our khums today, this is why I say Ghaibat al-Sughra is a fantastic foundation for us. When we pay our khums today, we have to be satisfied that we are paying to the right person. Because if we pay to the wrong person, and this is very serious, if we pay to the wrong person, it is as though we have not paid it at all. So we do give our hard-earned money in khums, and yet it is not we have no thawab for it. We are not recorded as having paid. The non-payment and non-compliance is still on our necks and on our account. So it is very important to ensure that the khums we pay, Sahm Imam alayhi salam that we pay to the right people and obtain a receipt. This is very important, because it is some assurance, it is some defense we have that I tried to pay to the right person and even obtain his receipt, and I've got his receipt. If we are paying, for example, to Ayatollah Sistani, then getting a receipt from the office of Ayatollah Sistani is extremely important. And if we are paying to Sadat, to make sure that those two conditions are fulfilled. Firstly, that he is from the progeny of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny. Merely claiming to be Sadat is not enough. And secondly, that he is a deserving person. He is a person who is not able to meet his ends and needs the money for his sustenance or the sustenance of his family. So all that is so important. These people, when they came from Qum and they met Ja'far for the first time, told Ja'far, we've got money from Qums, and Ja'far says, give me the money. They say, oh no, we don't give money like that. So Ja'far says, how do you give money? And they became suspicious straight away. That question, how do you give money, immediately meant he does not know. And if he does not know, he is not an imam, and if he's not an imam, we can't give him khums. So he said, well, why do you ask us? You would know. He says, why? How did my brother receive khums? That is the 11th Imam alayhi salam. And they said, your brother would first tell us how much khums we have. Who are the people? Because we don't have only our khums. We have khums of people, our friends from Khum, and we have a full list. He would tell us who has paid us how much we have. And there are times when your brother has told us that we have things we did not know ourselves. When we opened the purse, we found those things that he said were there, which we ourselves did not know were there. And Ja'far says, no, you are liars. My brother could not have done that. And they say, why? Why could he not have done so? He says, well, because this is ilmul ghaib. Only Allah knows what is ghaib. What you have, how can I know? I can't know. He couldn't have known, he couldn't have told you. And they said, fine, we will not argue with you as to who is a liar and who is not a liar. Salamun alaykum, and we are going, we are not paying you. He reported them to the Khalif. And the Khalif then summoned them. And they said, look, this is not your business. We have not come to pay you the money. We are paying the money to our Imam. And we do not regard him as Imam. And the Khalif turns to Ja'far and says, I really can't help you. The one, and this comes from our hottest enemy. The words of our hottest enemy. This is where I say to the youths that it is no use anybody telling you that we Shias exaggerate the praises of our Imams alayhi salam. We do not know how to exaggerate. The reality is that the praises of our Imams, from the highest of the praises, comes from the lips of their enemies. Either we hear Muawiyah praising Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, or we hear Yazid praising Imam Hussein alayhi salam even after his martyrdom, or we hear Hisham praising Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, or we hear Mansur praising Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, or we hear Harun al-Rashid praising 7th Imam, and all this in public, or we hear Ma'mun in his court praising Imam Rada alayhi salam, and here we are 11th Imam alayhi salam being praised by Mu'tamid in his own court. He turns to Ja'far and says, Ja'far, one group of people who are absolutely in skilled and with acumen are the Shias in being able to find out, to gauge, to determine who a true Imam is. If you want to know who true Imam is, learn from the Shias. They will tell you why somebody is a true Imam. And even when the 12th Imam alayhi salam will come, he will be questioned, and he will produce seven different proofs that he indeed is the Mahdi Ajjalallahu Farajahu of the time. And so saying, he told the Qummis, you can go with your money. I will not ask you to pay this to anybody. It's your money. You can do what you like with it. This is a grace from the Imam alayhi salam himself, that from the ghaibah he saved his people, and no acrimonious decisions were made by the Khalif. But Ja'far learned that imama cannot be claimed in that way, and indeed he learned that the Khalif of the time can pressurize people to do what are worldly things. He cannot govern their hearts. Insofar as the hearts and mind are concerned, they are only governed by those whom Allah has given the authority to govern the minds and hearts of the people. And indeed, This is the dua of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam or Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Give me from my progeny that group of people for whom people's hearts will bow. Their heads may not bow, but the hearts will bow for them. Well, that is indeed the position of each of the Imams, and was for Sahib al-Hujjah, Ajjalallahu Farajahu. The Qummis went away and they decided that there is no justice left here, religious justice in Samarra. We will go back to Qum and then we will reconsider what to do. We will pray to Allah to guide us as to who our true Imam is. And that is the most salient thing about it all. To pray to Allah to guide us, to know who the true Imam alayhi salam is in these times, to pray to Allah to guide us as to who the a'lam of the baraji are, to pray to Allah to keep us on the straight path. And we do not need to take time. That prayer is in our salah, ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, in each salah. It is only a question of sincerely emphasizing that particular prayer in salah. But these Qummis, with that good faith, were leaving Samarra, and suddenly they find that a brilliant looking young man stops them on the way and says, "Oh, group from Qum, do not be disappointed. Allah does not leave people misguided, and He does not leave people without guiding them." And they say, "Well, we have not received the guidance." And he says, "I have been sent by my master to give guidance." So he says, they say, "What guidance do you want to give us?" Now they're not trusting anybody. So this person turns around and says, "You are a group from Qum. You have brought khums for your Imam. You brought it for Al-Askari alayhi salam. He is not there, but his son is there, and he will receive khums from you." So they say, "Well, what khums are you talking about?" So he turns around and tells them, "You have brought khums from so-and-so, 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 and so-and-so," and set out the whole list of people, and set out the amount that each person had given, and then said, "There is that old lady who has given money. Part of her money is false, and she has given false money because she was suspicious that the 11th Imam alayhi salam might have reached martyrdom, this wrong Imam might receive the money, so she has put some false coins. When you open the purse, I will show you the false coins." They were absolutely satisfied. They turn round to him and says, "Are you the Imam alayhi salam? Are you our Imam alayhi salam?" You can see how convinced they became. And this is the foundation I want to lay, that when the Imam alayhi salam appointed his people during Ghaibat-e-Sughra, he made sure that those people were people who evoked the faith and trust of the mu'mineen. It was an extremely delicate time. It was a time when the Shias were in trouble. Al-Askari alayhi salam could not meet them openly, and hence he used agents. Now that is a part of Shiite life that I have already discussed last year, and I will not take your time, merely remind you that we have discussed that period. And so when Al-Askari alayhi salam could not meet them, he used his wukala to meet the people. The most important being Uthman bin Sa'id, whom I hope to discuss in a matter of a few minutes now. But those people had to be such that would have the confidence of the Shiite Ummah, so that the Shiite Ummah does not feel that they are now totally abandoned. They have nowhere to go and they have no leader at all. Then there would be seeds sown of people being misguided and going astray. Hence the Imam alayhi salam had this extremely delicate task. I said last year, if you remember, that Imam Askari alayhi salam had a very delicate decision to make at all times and had to balance it. On the one hand, he had to tell the mu'mineen who his heir is, because he did not want to leave them saying that he had no heir. So, and he even showed his heir to people, and we have discussed this last year. And I touched on it this year also, how he showed the heirs to various people, particularly one meeting of 40 agents. He called 40 agents and brought the 12th Imam alayhi salam there and said, "This is my successor." So on the one hand he had to do that, and he had to ask his agents to tell the people that there is a successor and he will be the Mahdi of the time. On the other hand, he had to say to the authorities, no, I don't have a son, there is nobody whom you can kill. So he had to protect him, and he had to protect the religion. That is a task Imam Askari alayhi salam fulfilled so beautifully, so successfully, and may Allah send salawat on 11th Imam alayhi salam for that success. Equally successful, as you can see, was the 12th Imam alayhi salam in the way he handled that balance. On the one hand, the government and the authorities were to be told he does not exist and was in ghaibah. On the other hand, the mu'mineen had to be told that he does exist. And that delicate task was performed by him in such a beautiful way. This man is asked by these people, are you the Imam alayhi salam? He says, no, far from it. I am merely a slave of the Imam alayhi salam. And I've come here on his orders, and he's waiting for you. He will meet you himself. And they go back to the house of the 11th Imam alayhi salam, and indeed they are told everything about what they have. They surrender everything to this slave. Well, he wasn't a slave, he was a servant of the Imam alayhi salam, but he called himself a slave. And after they gave everything, and he would say, where is the 100 tumans from Mr. X, 200 tumans from Mr. Y, and they kept handing money as he asked for it, just as 11th Imam alayhi salam did. And ultimately, when they had handed what they have, he said, no, there is that small parcel of that lady which contains the false coins. And when that was opened, which the Qummis had not even thought of, either they had forgotten about it, some of them didn't even know, but he said, that is the parcel which contains it. Can you imagine how much knowledge? And this is what I wanted to emphasize to the youths. Can you imagine how much knowledge this servant has? Ilmul Ghaib is Allah's. Allah says, I will give from that knowledge whomsoever I like, to the extent that I like. Nobody, not even the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his progeny, has all the knowledge that Allah, glorified and exalted, has. But he has all the knowledge that Allah has given him. When I have said in the past, in respect of our Imams alayhimus salam, on their miracles, that they had full knowledge of scientists, there is no cardiologist who would know more cardiology than the Imam alayhi salam would know. There is no accountant who would know more basis of accountancy than the Imam alayhi salam would know. Because all this knowledge, if Allah decided, would give to us humans, we sinners, cardiologist or orthopedist or accountant or engineer, if Allah would give that knowledge to such people, would He not have given that knowledge to His Hujjah? It defies common sense to say that He would not have. So that much knowledge He did give to them. But to find that when a servant is appointed, he too has this kind of hidden knowledge, is absolutely a fantastic culture that the 12th Imam alayhi salam had adopted. And how do we get this knowledge? Today we get it purely by association with the 12th Imam alayhi salam. It is mere association. How did Hur become Hur? I keep asking. He came to stop the Imam alayhi salam. He had respect for the Imam because he was the grandson of the Prophet, but he was prepared to fight the Imam alayhi salam. How did he change? Merely by traveling alongside the Imam alayhi salam for a few hours and traveling to stop him from going where he wanted to go. Can you imagine? Even in that process, that closeness, that proximity that he developed with the Imam alayhi salam led him to what salvation that we talk about him till today. So this is what we need to do and can do to develop in ourselves too, as this servant did. He was able to tell them exactly where the false coins were, and when those were opened, they were found. One was a true coin and the other were false. He picked up the guinea, the gold genuine guinea, and he returned the others and said, these can go back to them, to the lady with the salams of the 12th Imam alayhi salam. And picked what was right. And when all that was done and he took it inside, he said, well, I will take it inside and get you the receipt of the 12th Imam alayhi salam. Again we come back to this question of receipt. And the 12th Imam alayhi salam issued a receipt for all that money. He then he then addressed the Qummis too and said he was giving a letter to that old lady, because that old lady had asked him questions to which he wanted to give the answers. One of them was, how long would she live, and what is the remedy for the sicknesses that she had? Well, I said today, and judge as you judge whether you agree with me or not, I said that just that old lady would receive answers from the Imam alayhi salam as to her cure. We in our sicknesses can receive reply from the 12th Imam alayhi salam about our sicknesses and what cures there are. It is not possible, I argue, and judge it for yourselves, because I'm not speaking from any authority on that. I always give my authority when I have, because I'm not a learned man. But it is not possible that that lady would be given that kind of treatment and we would not be given. The Imam alayhi salam does not discriminate in the treatment he gives to his followers, except for our sins. For that, of course, we only have ourselves to blame, and may Allah forgive us those sins which keep a barrier between us and the Imam alayhi salam. Well, then he gave certain kafan and said, this is for particular people. They will tell them, they have sent khums to me, and tell them that I have sent these kafans to them because they will soon need them. And indeed, that is exactly what happened. But this is how the Imam alayhi salam laid foundation for that Ghaibat al-Sughra. In that time, he appointed special deputies. And the first of them, Uthman bin Sa'id, was really first engaged by the 9th Imam alayhi salam. So you can see what an experienced person he must have been. His father took him to Imam Jawad alayhi salam, and I have mentioned this when we were discussing Imam Jawad alayhi salam, and said, my son is now 12 years old. The father is proud that the son is 12 years old, and says, I've thought what is best for him, and I decided that it is best that he should be on your threshold. Give him the kind of task that you think he can do. He is a little boy, he is still learning, but who better to teach him than yourself? I would like you to receive him and accept him from me to be your servant. And the Imam alayhi salam says, yes, I see in him great virtues, and I see in him a very faithful and reliable servant of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and hence I congratulate you to have this son. Indeed, Allah will reward you, and you too will be in good health and in salvation. That Uthman bin Sa'id, you can see, had been serving Ahlul Bayt since the age of 12. He grew up in the service of Ahlul Bayt, so much so that when Imam Hadi alayhi salam became Imam and could not see members of the public at all, he used Uthman bin Sa'id to meet the members of the public on his behalf. He soon became the chamberlain of Imam Hadi alayhi salam. Indeed, when Imam Askari alayhi salam came, I am going so fast because we have discussed about Uthman bin Sa'id last year when we were discussing about Imam Askari alayhi salam. In the time of Imam Askari alayhi salam, he rose from the level of the chamberlain and became the chief wakil. What we call wakil mutlaq today, the chief wakil of Imam Askari alayhi salam. In other words, if anybody had any problem with regard to the Imam alayhi salam, whether for example it was a matter of Sharia, and they asked Uthman bin Sa'id, the answer from Uthman bin Sa'id was the answer from the Imam alayhi salam. You can see the level to which he had reached. So Mu'mineen alayhi salam knew him. You can see how Ghaibat al-Sughra was being geared, was being prepared well in advance. And when the 12th Imam alayhi salam took over, he immediately appointed Uthman bin Sa'id to be his deputy. And people had no problem, Mu'mineen had no hesitation in contacting Uthman bin Sa'id, because they had been contacting him since the time of Imam Jawad alayhi salam and had full trust and faith in him. But what did happen was that when it came to the Imam being in Ghaibah, they expected more out of him. And they wanted to see whether when the Imam alayhi salam is in Ghaibah, does he perform things that are consonant with that Ghaibah? Does he, for example, produce miracles? We do not expect our Maraja to produce miracles today, but they expected the deputies even to produce miracles. And the deputies without claiming to be able to produce miracles, without claiming that they had the capacity to do so, because it was very important for them to make sure that they remain deputies, and the Imam alayhi salam remains the Imam, and the miracles come from him, not from them. Indeed, whatever they were able to perform was knowledge given to them by the Imam alayhi salam. For example, in respect of Uthman bin Sa'id, an agent would come, and this is well recorded. It's recorded by Sheikh Tusi in his book on Ghaiba. Gave him khums and gave him money, and Uthman bin Sa'id says, yes, all this is fine, but there are 2 garments, but there are other things that were given to you to give to me. Why don't I see them? And he says, but I've come all the way here to give these to you. I would not withhold this when I've given everything. And Uthman bin Sa'id says, that's not the point. The point is compliance with the rules on khums, because there is liability in respect of what you have not given me, and I do not want that moment to suffer from it. Go and look for it. So he goes back to the place which he had rented, what we would call a hotel today. Goes back to the place he rented, looks everywhere, does not find it, goes back to Uthman bin Sa'id and says, Uthman, I cannot see that you would be wrong, and yet I have searched all through, I cannot find the thing. And Uthman says, no, but you are searching in the wrong place. So he says, where do I search? And then Uthman says, no, go and make another effort yourself, because I do not want to intervene in these things. He goes back, comes back to Uthman and said, you've given me a second chance, I can't find it. Now I am perplexed, because I have a duty to hand over this to you. I do not want to keep this amana, but I can't find it. You must help me, because it is clear to me that you know where it is, but you are hesitating to tell me. I request you to tell me. And Uthman says, do you remember you went to that cotton seller and you gave him some parcels? And he says, yes, I did. He says, go back to him. He says, but he will not give me. And he says, Uthman says, no, don't ask him. Ask him to give you the parcel that you handed over to him. One of the parcels has such a name on top of it. The parcel that has that name on it, open it, and when you open it, you will clearly see another small parcel in it containing 2 garments and with the name of the 12th Imam alayhi salam on it. You can see how much the Imam alayhi salam endowed his deputies with knowledge, so that the public could have confidence. Now you can imagine when this agent sees all this, goes back and narrates all this to the mu'minin, they then get the confidence that no, the agents that are appointed are not ordinary people, they are people truly appointed by the Imam alayhi salam. And when he goes to that shop, he duly finds these, hands them over to Uthman bin Sa'id, and a receipt is issued for every item that is received. And indeed, this happens again. And this incident is also reported by Sheikh Sudduk alayhi rahmah. I'm citing too so that you can see how Sheikh Tusi deals with the subject, how Sheikh Sudduk alayhi rahmah in his book on Ghaiba, Kamal is his book, Kamaluddin, that in his Kamal, how he deals with this particular subject. And he says that a person sends money to Uthman bin Sa'id, saying, this is khums from me. When he sends that money, Uthman bin Sa'id says, hold on, this is not khums, due amount of khums from you, because it contains money here that is due to your cousins, and you have no right to hand over to me the money belonging to your cousins. This is money we do not accept. Can you see with what purity the Imam alayhi salam accepted khums? And the moment he suspected that money was not legitimately due to him, he would not touch it. That is isma. That is what we call isma, masoom. He is a masoom, he is infallible. Money is not important. What is important is compliance with commands of Allah, the glorified and exalted. And this man says, my cousin says, yes, go and think about it. When he comes home, he says, yes, all these agricultural land on which I'm paying all this khums, and I calculated, 1/6 of it belongs to my cousins, and I have not given them their share. He deducts their share, finds that their share comes to about 600 dirhams or so, deducts that 600 dirhams, and then takes the balance and goes to give to Uthman bin Said. He immediately accepts the money and issues the receipt. But can you see the level to which these deputies were performing? Because it is in the performance of the duty of the deputies that the faith of the people on the Imam alayhi salam would be enhanced. And that continued. And when the time came for Uthman bin Said to reach his martyrdom, he is succeeded by his son Muhammad bin Uthman. Now Muhammad bin Uthman had been in the service of the 10th Imam alayhi salam. He served Imam Hadi alayhi salam, he served Imam Askari alayhi salam. And you might remember last year my saying, and so I will not take more than a few seconds on this, that at the time of his martyrdom, the 11th Imam alayhi salam calls the agents, all the agents. And when the agents, well, there were 60 in number whom he addressed, and he tells them, he not only showed them the 12th Imam alayhi salam, but he told them that Uthman bin Said will be his first deputy, and his son Muhammad will be his second deputy. The 11th Imam alayhi salam in his time already announces who the first two deputies of the 12th Imam alayhi salam would be. Because by then Muhammad bin Uthman was also at the level of a chamberlain of 11th Imam alayhi salam, a post that his father had held in the time of Imam Hadi alayhi salam. And hence they were there, and you find that sort of a situation arising even with Muhammad bin Uthman. In the time of Muhammad bin Uthman, for example, a Shia goes and hands over khums to him. It was an agent. He had accumulated 480 dirhams of khums. So he said, why send 480 dirhams? I will send 500 dirhams. Round it up, make a round figure. He sent 500 dirhams to Muhammad bin Uthman. Muhammad bin Uthman sends him a receipt for khums for only 480 dirhams. Because that receipt had to be given to those who had paid khums. How was that to be accounted? He gives a full receipt for 480 for khums and sends another receipt of 20 dirhams in the name of the agent, that this is an amount you have personally sent to the Imam alayhi salam. So it is not khums, it's on a personal account, and two receipts, separate receipts are sent for khums. And this is the sort of behavior that generated so much confidence of the honesty and integrity of these deputies. Not only that, but it showed how much knowledge they had, which Ja'far did not have, of being able to say how much is khums and how much is not khums. Likewise, questions that were asked, they answered these questions on behalf of the Imam alayhi salam. And if a person insisted that I want the Imam alayhi salam to answer the question, they would ensure that the Imam alayhi salam would answer the question with his signature, and they would pass what is called tawqir of the Imam alayhi salam, containing the exact ruling. And it was in the time of Muhammad bin Uthman. Time is running against me, but I will very quickly just mention this. I wanted to go on to Hussein bin Roh, but let me just say this quickly in a matter of 1 or 2 minutes only. That was the time when the Karamata were, and I've discussed this when I discussed how Ja'far bin Qawliya knew that the Karamata will replace the Hajar Aswad, and sent an aridha to the Imam alayhi salam through Ibn Hisham. However, the Karamata were making a lot of underground activities and creating considerable tension and dissension in the Muslim countries. And the Khalif Mu'tamid thought that they were being assisted by the Shias. It is at that time the Imam alayhi salam issued instructions that the Shias should be told to dissociate from the Karamata altogether. He himself issued a tawqi condemning the leader of the Karamata for what he was doing. And it was Muhammad bin Uthman who skillfully, without letting the government know what he was doing, or that these were instructions from the Imam alayhi salam, because the government was to be told that the Imam alayhi salam was not there. It is only the people, the Shias, who were to be given these instructions. He sent out instructions to all the agents almost overnight, in a clandestine manner, and in a matter of just a few days, all the Shias became totally informed that they must keep away from the Karamita. The government pounced on the Karamita, and indeed the Shias of the time were saved. That is an achievement of Muhammad bin Uthman during his time, but all in the service of ghaibah. And on his passing away, something fantastic happened. Everybody around then thought that Muhammad bin Uthman would be succeeded by Ja'far bin Ahmad Matil, because he was so pious. And if there was any person at the level of Muhammad bin Uthman, it was him. And yet when he was dying, and he was on his deathbed at the time of his wafat, people gathered, and indeed Ja'far bin Muhammad was at his head, Hussein bin Rauh was at his feet, because usually the person who was going to succeed him would be at his head at the time his soul comes out of his body. That is how